The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 24. When Jingwang went out, Li Yu took the opportunity to transform into a young man. This was the first time he used the transformation skill outside of the system. His heart inevitably surged in excitement, however he was also very aware that he had an extremely important task to do and needed to suppress his feelings of elation. After turning back into human form, he still didn't have any clothes to wear, but that didn't matter. Li Yu pulled out a new set of inner robes and pants from Jingwang's wardrobe and put them on with ease. The transformation skill didn't last long, so it didn't really allow him to do anything else. Before he finished writing the letter for Xuěshān, it would be fine for him to dress casually till then. After putting on clothes, Li Yu still rolled up the somewhat long sleeves of the inner robe, exposing his fair, slender arms. He carefully examined the arrangement on the table. Jingwang's pre-prepared brush and ink were all here, but Li Yu couldn't actually use them recklessly. If he left any trace for Jingwang to discover, all his hard work would go down the drain. Li Yu recalled that during his boring downtime, he once saw how a cleaning servant had tidied up the room. In his memories, the servant walked in front of an 8-layered cabinet and pulled open one of the drawers in the middle. This was where the spare brushes and ink were kept. Li Yu pulled out a brush from the innermost area, a layer of paper and a half-used, old ink stick. During ancient times, if one wanted to write, he first needed to prepare the ink. The ink came from grinding ink sticks. Li Yu had seen Jingwang do this before and he could copy the process easily. However, he couldn't find any other inkstone. He couldn't use the high-quality one on the table. That was Jingwang's item, not to mention, it was clean. If he used it to grind ink, it would be too obvious. Making a face, Li Yu randomly picked out a teacup that was on the floor and used it as an inkstone. Now, he had everything. Li Yu placed all of his writing essentials at a corner of the table. He poured some water into the teacup and started to grind the ink. He has never done this task before, so he didn't know how much he needed to mix until the amount ink was appropriate enough. As soon as the water turned black, he stopped and dipped the brush into the prepared ink. Propping his cheek up with one hand, Li Yu held the brush and thought about how to compose the letter. He had temporarily memorized plenty of characters from Jingwang's book, but there were still some that he didn't know how to write. Jingwang's book wasn't a dictionary after all. For a fish to sneakily find words was quite hard. Oh, who cares? Even if he couldn't write the characters properly, as long as Xuěshān could understand what he was trying to say, it should be fine. Having decided this, Li Yu picked up the brush and started to write. He wrote several drafts first and edited them again and again. When he felt like it was about right, he finally started to copy and rewrite everything. After the ink dried on the paper, he folded it well. Then he used another paper to make a simple envelope to hold the letter. After writing the letter, now he had to find a way to give it to Xuěshān. Li Yu placed the completed letter into his portable storage space first. He wiped the brush clean, then put back the brush, ink stick and paper back where they were originally kept. Then, he wiped down the table that he used. He couldn't randomly leave the drafts lying around and needed to get rid of them. Li Yu deliberated for a moment between burning them or eating them. Paper really tasted terrible. He was also afraid that Jingwang might touch the fish's belly and find something strange again. Therefore, he opened the cover of the only incense burner in the room. After taking care of everything appropriately, he heard the shitty system started the countdown for his transformation. Li Yu quickly took off the clothes he was wearing and placed them inconspicuously within the pile of clothes that Jingwang had worn before. In a bit, there would be an inner servant who would come over to take them away for washing, which would get rid of any trace evidence. Li Yu really thought he was a genius and so capable that he could practically become a spy. When Jingwang returned to the room, the little carp was sleeping soundly on the white stone bed. As soon as Jingwang stepped over the threshold, he felt that something wasn't right. Although everything in the room looked exactly as when he left it, he subconsciously felt that something was wrong. He first looked at his fish. Xiao Yu was quietly laying on the white stone. Jingwang immediately wanted to go inspect it, but the fish suddenly blew a bubble. Jingwang. The fish was very well. Jingwang slowly strolled around everywhere in the room. Then he finally discovered what didn't seem right. The incense burner in his room seemed to have been used, but what was burned didn't give off an incense smell. Jingwang opened the incense burner but couldn't find anything strange. However, upon lifting the cover, some ashes accidentally scattered on the floor next to the incense burner. Jingwang. Unless it was necessary, Jingwang didn't allow others to come and go inside his room as they will. The servants at Jing Estate would definitely not do that. However, it seemed that someone had come inside and burned something in the incense burner. It was very likely that whoever it was had tampered with it. Jingwang went to find Wang Shi and had him thoroughly investigate this matter. Wang Shi quickly checked and audited everything in the room. For some unknown reason, one of the brushes that was placed in the drawer had become blunted, missing a few hairs. A stack of paper went missing and an ink stick was also missing half a segment. Jingwang's face darkened. The thief that had escaped the last time was not apprehended yet. Was there another thief? The servant in charge of laundry came over and collected the clothes that Jingwang took off for washing. To be cautious, Wang Shi stopped this person and also rummaged through the laundry. Suddenly, his eyes light up. Your Highness, look. Wang Shi quickly pulled out an inner robe from the pile. The sleeves of this robe were rolled up and had quite the ink stains on it. Jingwang thought for a moment but couldn't remember getting ink stains on any of his clothes recently. Not to mention that this inner robe fitted his size snugly, so he didn't need to roll up the sleeves at all. Inner robes again. Did the thief have some kind of obsession with his clothes? Probably not. Your Highness, this old servant is thinking about the one that escaped by water last time. Wang Shi reminded Jingwang in a quiet voice. Jingwang nodded. He also felt that there couldn't be such a coincidence. It was most likely the same person. The thief that escaped last time hasn't been caught yet and now they decided to come back. What exactly did this thief want? A smiling face flashed across Jingwang's mind. The thing was, Jingwang was personally having a hard time believing that such a clean, innocent-looking youth could be the same thief who used his clothes several times. Also, why did he want to steal his fish? Being chased out by the main wife and venting his anger was a rather far-fetched reason. Jingwang felt that there seemed to be a huge secret revolving around this youth. It's just that he hasn't figured it out yet. Nevertheless, he definitely wouldn't allow the other to take away his fish as they pleased. Jingwang secretly ordered Wang Shi to double the number of imperial guards outside the room as well as increase the manpower searching for the thief. After waking up, the little carp was still somewhat befuddled. He didn't know at all what kind of disturbance he had caused in the Jing estate once again because of his one little action. At first, he was sleeping on his side towards the inner side of the fish tank. Unconsciously, he flipped over and faced Jingwang. Jingwang and Wang Shi immediately saw a long black mark on the fish's body which had not been washed away by the water. Wang Shi was shocked. After consulting Jingwang, he quickly pulled Xiao Yu out of the water. Wiping the fish with a finger, Jingwang discovered the ink stain on the fish's body. Jingwang. Your Highness, look. A servant came over carrying a teacup and waited for instructions. For some reason, the teacup wasn't holding fresh water but instead had ink water inside. Why ink again? Jingwang looked at the ink-stained inner robe that Wang Shi found, the teacup holding the ink water, the used and blunted brush, the half-used-up ink stick, the missing stack of papers and the used incense burner. In his room, that person should have used his teacup to prepare ink, used brush and paper to write something and then burned something inside the incense burner. As for the ink on the fish's body, Jingwang was completely confused as to how the ink got on the fish's body. When Li Yu was scooped out by Wang Shi, he was still befuddled. When the servant found the ink-filled teacup and Jingwang saw the ink stain on his body, Li Yu immediately jolted awake. Damn! He was really too careless. He didn't notice the ink that had gotten on his hand, which he carelessly wiped onto himself. Moreover, after he used the teacup, he just left it where it was, completely forgetting to pour out the ink water first. This was an instance of a smart fish prepares for 1,000 things, but will inevitably forget one thing. Jingwang might immediately start suspecting him. Li Yu silently said to himself that he definitely can't be mistaken for a Yao. He immediately struggled out of Wang Shi's hands and forcibly jumped into the teacup containing the ink water. Pretending to be extremely excited and extremely happy, he splashed around with all his might and turned himself blacker than a cuttlefish. Jingwang had been splashed countless times by the fish before. He had plenty of experience. As soon as the fish raised its tail, he sensed the turn of events and decisively raised his sleeve to block it, avoiding being hit by a large portion of the ink spray. Nevertheless, Jingwang's sleeve turned black visibly. To the side, Wang Shi couldn't react as quickly and was splashed in the face by plenty of ink. Master Xiao Yu is really in a good spirit, Wang Shi said jokingly, smoothing things over. Taking out a handkerchief, he wiped his face. Jingwang was expressionless. Where the ink on the fish's body came from couldn't be more clear. Wasn't it because this fish had too much fun and did it himself? Li Yu endured Jingwang's murderous gaze and continued shamelessly acting cute with his cuttlefish appearance. He finally rescued his cover that was on the verge of being discovered. Since the letter was written, he should consider sending it out. Li Yu thought about waiting until the new year when the two estates would exchange gifts to sneakily place it inside a present and send it over without anyone noticing. However, it was hard for regular people to get close to the presents and very hard to guarantee that Yeching Huan would definitely see the letter. Therefore, it was still best to do it when Yeching Huan came over to visit. Luckily, Yeshizi's beloved dog was no match for a fish. Not long after, he brought his dog over once again. This time, Yeshizi also brought over a golden ball. He threw the golden ball very far. Xiongfeng immediately ran over, grabbed the ball and returned it to him. No matter how smart a fish is, it still can't compare to a dog. Yeshizi felt that Jingwang would definitely have nothing to say this time. Jingwang gave Yeching Huan a pitying look and indicated for Yeshizi to go in front of the fish tank to take a look himself. Yeshizi looked. At first, he didn't see anything other than a bunch of gems. After a while, he saw Jingwang Xiao Yu leisurely swim over and stack up the gems way high. Then, it raised a sapphire with its tail and threw it over, knocking over the pile of gems completely. Jingwang's fish actually knew how to play like this. Yeshizi was so jealous his eyeballs were about to fall out. He lost again. Seeing this, Xiongfeng was extremely excited, wagging its tail uncontrollably, almost like it was cheering on the fish inside the fish tank. Li Yu swam over. With the crystal tank as a barrier, he wasn't too afraid of Xiongfeng. He also bravely waved his tail at Xiongfeng, teasing it. Xiongfeng became even more energized, trotting around in front of the crystal water tank as if it really wanted to jump inside and play with the fish together. Yeching Huan. Help! Yeching Huan felt somewhat faint and needed to rest immediately. He allowed Wang Shi to support him outside. Meanwhile, Xiongfeng remained in the room, looking at the little carp in anticipation. It extended its nose repeatedly, attempting to sniff Li Yu. However, every time it only ended up touching the cold crystal surface. Xiongfeng barked rapidly a few times. Li Yu's eyes lit up. If there was only him and Xiongfeng here, perhaps he could use this opportunity. Xiongfeng, For your master's sake, become a messenger, okay? Faint and disoriented, Xuěshān rested for a little while. When he turned his head, he discovered that his beloved dog, Xuěshān, was half wet with water. With a white-colored letter in its mouth, it pawed at his pants. What's this? With a face of astonishment, Xuěshān pulled out the letter from Xuěshān's mouth. End chapter. The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 25. At the beginning, Xuěshān thought that this was some kind of joke. He looked at the letter with a smile. However, after briefly reading a few words in this letter, his expression changed. Although Jingwang liked to ignore Xuěshān, ultimately this was his own cousin. Therefore, Jingwang, who wanted to know what had upset Xuěshān, gave Wang Shi a glance. Wang Shi stepped forward and said on his behalf, "My lord, what happened?" Xuěshān looked like he lost his soul. It took him a while to refocus and hand the letter over as he asked, "Tianqi, do you know who wrote this letter?" Wang Shi accepted the letter and transferred it to Jingwang without looking. Tianqi skimmed through it and instantly felt surprised. This letter contained probably the worst calligraphy he had ever read in his entire life. Only a few characters were written correctly. Most were missing strokes in the characters here and there. A scrawling handwriting, like it was blown by the wind. Even 6 or 7 years old children had better calligraphy than this. In addition to the terrible handwriting, this letter spoke of something that made one's blood run cold. It stated that the second prince was secretly plotting to harm Xuěshān by framing Xuěshān for killing the princess of Jinju. This letter instructed Xuěshān to pay careful attention to the second prince's movements and tread cautiously concerning the sixth prince. Currently, the emperor only had 4 grown-up sons. Everyone with eyes could see that the sixth prince was the third prince's follower. The third prince did not get along with the second prince, while Jingwang didn't get along with any of these people. This letter, which was only a thin piece of paper, pretty much involved 3 of the 4 grown-up princes, while Xuěshān himself clearly have connections with Jingwang. Thinking this, Jingwang's expression also became grave. As the deceased empress relatives, Chang'an Palace enjoyed the emperor's support. Their future was prosperous. Because the sons of the deceased empress either died prematurely or had a disability in case of Jingwang, Chang'an Palace estate did not have their own prince to support to the throne. But with their current position, they didn't really need to take a side with any of the other princes. Also, Chang'an Palace didn't usually deal with these princes to avoid any disputes. Yet now the dispute came voluntarily to their front door. This letter was delivered through Xuěshān. It was full of peculiarities. The content of the letter was even more incredulous. For a moment, Xuěshān found it hard to discern whether it was true or false. He also had other concerns. Was the letter itself part of a scheme to trick the Chang'an Palace? Tianqi thought for a moment and gave a cough. Xuěshān raised his head and saw Jingwang pointing at a specific name in the letter. Jingwang was suggesting something. Xuěshān can see clearly, Jingwang wanted him to take note of the princess of Jinju. Xuěshān paused. "Are you pointing out to ask why would it be the princess of Jinju? If it were any other person, the credibility of this letter would be even higher, but it spoke of matter relating to the princess of Jinju. Recently, Jingwang and Xuěshān haven't even heard of any movements from Jinju. Moreover, Jinju was far away from the imperial capital where they were right now. They've never even seen the princess of Jinju in person. Why would the second prince kill this person and blame it on Xuěshān?" This was where the conflict stemmed from. If this letter was really a trap for Chang'an Palace, it most likely wouldn't involve a foreign princess. Therefore Jingwang leaned more towards believing it, or believing parts of the letter. Jingwang obtained another piece of paper and wrote, "No harm in being prepared." Xuěshān fell silent for a while. He completely understood what Jingwang meant. It's better to trust that it's possible, than to trust that it's impossible. I will order people to watch the second prince, and that sixth prince, and see exactly what they are up to. He also wanted to see what the intentions of the writer were. Good thing you prompted me, or else I'd be really racking my brain for a while. Smiling candidly, Xuěshān went to pat Jingwang's shoulder. People said that Jingwang was aloof and did not care about anything. What they didn't know was that this man had a meticulous and clear mind. Xuěshān's over-enthusiastic behavior made Jingwang frown slightly. Right, Xuěshān continued. Who do you think sent this letter? Since it was sent through Xiongfeng, this person must know me well. Could it be someone who was very close to me? For Xuěshān to make this kind of assumption wasn't without reason. Jingwang also wanted to know who sent the letter. However, his thinking was not the same as Xuěshān's. This letter was indeed sent through Xiongfeng. However, it was also specifically sent during a time in which Xuěshān was visiting the Jing estate. If this person was only familiar with Xuěshān, why would they choose to act under Jingwang's nose? Jingwang was more leaning towards the thought that this person had some kind of connection with the Jing estate and that they only took advantage of Xuěshān visiting the estate to send this letter. Everything regarding this letter was confusing and complicated. Jingwang turned his head to look at the what could only be called wild and unrestrained calligraphy on the letter. Some of the brush strokes even spilled along the way. Every stroke was very forceful and with strength. This kind of writing style, perhaps even the brush was. Jingwang's heart skipped a beat. He recalled a brush that he had seen before which was blunted with bristles falling out. It was recently too, and it was right in his room. It was that youth. Jingwang had speculated that he wrote something in the room. Could it be the letter in Xuěshān's hand right now? Tianqi, what are you thinking about with such a sullen face? Xuěshān held up two fingers in front of Jingwang's face and waved them. Jingwang ruthlessly smacked away his trouble-making fingers. Xuěshān said with a smile, are you thinking about who that person is and where they are right now? I naturally have a way to find them, but... Xuěshān gave Jingwang a look, stopping right at the crucial point. Jingwang used his eyes to express impatiently, spit it out. Xuěshān laughed and continued, I have a plan. But if you want to find the person who sent the letter, you must first answer one of my questions. Xuěshān felt like he was a genius for taking advantage of this opportunity to get some information out of Jingwang. He shook his head and said, I heard you encountered an assassination attempt in the Imperial Palace, that's why you moved back to your estate. But there's one thing I haven't been able to figure out. Jingtai Palace is your territory and you have quite a number of personal guards by your side. So, how could they just let the assassin wander into your room? Xuěshān wanted to gossip about this for a while already. Regarding the attempted assassination on Jingwang, everyone in the Imperial Palace was guessing who was the culprit. However, after Jingwang killed the assassin, the Emperor's Imperial Guards examined the body several times and still couldn't find any clues. The Imperial Palace was mostly split between two conjectures. One guess was that Imperial Consort Xu must have harbored resentment for being punished by the Emperor because of Jingwang. Even if she didn't personally order Jingwang's assassination, she was still somehow related to it. The other assumption was that someone was deliberately framing Imperial Consort Xu. After Jingwang encountered the assassination, everyone's thoughts immediately turned towards Imperial Consort Xu. Apprehension over this was also why the second prince was in such a hurry to reconcile with Jingwang. Other than trying to help Imperial Consort Xu out of trouble, he was also scared that the emperor would believe these rumors. As Jingwang's cousin, Xuěshān naturally cared about Jingwang a lot and wanted to know who was audacious enough to make an attempt on Jingwang's life inside the Imperial Palace. The third prince has been showing his ambitions the last few years, privately allying with the sixth prince to compete against the second prince. The princes had swords drawn in a state of mutual hostility. So which side is the culprit of the assassination attempt with? If you tell me, I will find the letter sender in exchange. Why would Jingwang not keep the assassin alive? Why kill her immediately? Yet Xinghuan felt like Jingwang definitely knew something but refused to say it. Jingwang huffed coldly and glanced at Wang Shi. Wang Shi covered his mouth and laughed. Then, he ordered the guards to pick Ye Xinghuan up by the back of his collar. Tianqi, what are you doing? Ye Xinghuan yelled in fright. Wang Shi said slowly, My lord, how come you never learn from your past mistakes? His Highness hates it with people come to him with conditions, so why must you insist? Ye Xinghuan. Fine. He thought he could get something out of Jingwang here. Clearly, he was an idiot. Wang Shi ordered the person holding Ye Shizi to throw him out of the estate, but Ye Xinghuan made a final struggle. Wait a second. If you chase me away, who will find the letter sender? Right. Of course. Wang Shi's face blossomed into a smile. His Highness wants this old servant to ask you, do you want to be chased out or do you want to explain voluntarily? I really have to hand it to you. Ye Xinghuan cursed with a laugh. He stopped arguing and voluntarily explained his plan. His plan was to use Xiongfeng. Since the letter sender made Xiongfeng bring over the letter, Xiongfeng must have seen that person. As long as they make Xiongfeng lead the way, they would definitely find the person. Jingwang. So, it can be done this way. Ye Xinghuan untied the dog collar and spoke with Xiongfeng for a while, giving him instructions. Who knows if Xiongfeng understood or not? After Ye Shizi finished talking, it licked the palm of his hand, turned around and ran off. Ye Xinghuan said hastily, Quick, after him. He's searching for the person. Jingwang and Ye Xinghuan exchanged looks, reaching a mutual understanding, they followed behind the dog. When Jingwang and Ye Xinghuan weren't present, Li Yu very quickly changed into a human, making Xiongfeng bark randomly for a moment. Li Yu wasn't afraid of Xiongfeng in his human form, but he didn't have anything to pacify Xiongfeng. He had no choice but to feed Xiongfeng some of the red-colored fish food. Unexpectedly, Xiongfeng actually really liked fish food. Not only did it stop barking, it licked Li Yu's hand enthusiastically. Li Yu won over Xiongfeng. He then pulled out the letter from his portable storage space and placed it in Xiongfeng's mouth to bring it outside. By now, the plan to save Ye Xinghuan probably counted as mostly complete. Next, he just needed to wait for Ye Shizi's response. Actually, it was best if he could go outside with Xiongfeng as well. However, either in human shape or fish shape, they were both inconvenient. He'd be captured immediately if he went out in human form. Trying to follow the dog as a fish was probably not possible. Therefore, Li Yu decided to remain where he was, waiting for Xiongfeng to come back after sending the letter. The transformation this time was extremely successful. There was still plenty of time before he changed back. Li Yu didn't dare to run around randomly. After getting dressed, he sat in the room and stared blankly at the peach blossom-shaped desserts on the tea table. This dessert was called peach blossom cookies. The outer appearance was like a peach blossom flower. Li Yu could tell they were delicious just by the smell of it. He heard Wang Shi say that this was a culinary recipe passed over from the imperial baker in the palace. Occasionally Jingwang would partake in some. Because Wang Shi was the one who personally placed the cookies here, they should be safe to eat. After sitting for a while, Li Yu felt bored and very quickly turned his thoughts onto the peach blossom cookies. The last time he turned into a human, he was busy writing and didn't have a chance to eat human food. Before last time, he ate the food that Auntie Sue gathered for him. There was no dessert. Now seeing this extremely attractive-looking dessert displayed before him, Li Yu felt a craving. This was Jingwang's dessert. For a pet to crave its master's dessert was very normal. Placed in 3 layers, the peach flour cookies piled up neatly to form a cookie mountain. Li Yu picked out a rather large one from the topmost layer. He stuffed it in his mouth and took a bite. The pink-colored cookies tasted crisp and sweet. Very fitting of its name, Liu really did taste the flavor of peach blossoms. Liu was afraid that the time limit for changing back would come soon, so he ate very quickly. After he finished eating, he still wanted to eat some more. He grabbed a second piece and stuffed it into his mouth. He didn't plan to eat too much. After taking away 2 pieces, the first layer had a hole. The original cookie mountain was no longer perfect. Liu thought for a moment and pulled out 2 cookies from the lowest layer. Then, he rearranged the cookies that were left. Now this layer shrunk and was no longer balanced. Liu then took out a piece of cookie from the second layer and rearranged the second layer. Like this, the entire cookie mountain shrunk in circumference. Liu nodded his head in satisfaction and ate all of the excess peach blossom cookies, stuffing his cheeks full. He was just energetically chewing the dessert when a burst of dog barks came from outside. At first, Liu was happy. Did Xiongfeng come back after successfully completing his request? Liu went next to the window to take a look. He saw Xiongfeng waving its tail wildly along the way, running fast as lightning. Behind Xiongfeng was Jingwang and the heir of Cheng'an Palace estate in To. Liu. Stupid Xiongfeng. Didn't we agree that you'd complete the task alone without giving me away? Why are you leading these 2 people over here? He was going to get trapped in a room for the second time. End chapter.